my guests today.
Take a second here to try to navigate sharing my screen. All right, can you guys all, if someone could give me a verbal that they can see the slides, I cannot see you guys anymore.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Okay, so my name is Esther Stonecypher. I am the State Director of Disaster Behavioral Health. I started this role in October of 2022. And there's a couple of previous touch points that you all may have heard about REST or seen a presentation about REST. One being the quarterly council meeting, July of 23, we presented, and that was at the onset of a lot of the program development that we've been working on since then. And then also the 5-month web series that we made available to the community mental health centers to learn about disaster behavioral health, REST, and what the CMHC involvement will look like going forward. So that was March through July of 2024. For those of you who maybe this might be new, our program mission is to ensure consistent, comprehensive, and compassionate care for all folks in Indiana experiencing a natural or human-caused disaster. We will support local response through resilience and emotional support teams and provide communication, coordination, and technical assistance, with the focus always being a starting and ending locally. The 3 main pillars of disaster behavioral health that we try to incorporate in our program is short-term emotional intervention, focus on practical needs, and referrals for further support if a survivor needs that. So REST is structured along the same district delineation that is used by the Department of Homeland Security and the Department of Health. There are 10 districts, as you can see on the map here, one team per district for REST. Teams are staffed through local community mental health centers, spiritual care members, peers, and community members. Yes?
You cannot see the slide that you're referring to.
You guys are not seeing the slides anymore?
Still seeing only the first slide.
Okay.
It's not moving forward. Yeah, thank you, Hamilton Center.
Yeah,
it looks like it's not in PowerPoint slide presentation mode.
All right. I have stopped sharing and let me see. Thank you guys. I'm not super familiar with Zoom. Let me try this one more time. Right. Okay, are you guys seeing the REST structure slide now?
Yes, we are.
Okay, we'll try this one more time, and if I'm not able to get it to work, I will just continue with the presentation and send out the slides after. So I don't want to hold you guys up. So this is the map I was talking about. These are the districts that we align with. So REST is available by request only. So and available for survivors and first responders. Did the slide move forward?
It's not in presentation mode, so that could be what the issue is.
Yeah, if you have multiple screens, sometimes that it's not sharing the presentation mode screen.
All right, then you know what? I will send these out after. I don't want to end up delaying you all going over time, and I'll just speak. What we have I go through in the next couple of slides is we have a description of the leadership structure. So as I believe many of you are probably familiar with, your members from your staff have come together to compose the district leadership teams. So those are made up of points of contact from each of the community mental health centers that are represented within a district. The structure is then a little bit more refined, where a team leader and an assistant team leader are selected, ideally from two separate community mental health centers, just in case one CMHC is experiencing, or is affected by an event, or is in a specifically hard place. We don't have that affecting both of those leadership positions. Beyond that, all of the leadership duties are shared by the leadership team. Those typically fall into two categories, so administrative and activation. For administrative, that's a regular REST meeting. The cadence of that is up to the community mental health center. So we ask that it at least be quarterly, but some teams are meeting monthly, some teams are meeting quarterly. So that's kind of just up to whatever the district needs. Maintaining accurate contact information for the members, and then ensuring training requirements are met for the team. And then during activation, the leadership team is the primary local leadership and guidance for what that response should look like. So making sure the members have the information that they need, and completing any after action reports that are required or follow-up tasks. Alrighty. So we then also look at the general REST structure, which is composed of that community mental health center component, but then also ideally pulls in other representatives from the community. So that could be community members who take the training and participate, faith-based organizations, other community support organizations, and other behavioral health entities. So those components will look different for each district, depending on what's reflective of your guys' community and who's interested, which is a big part of it. REST can be activated by three different levels, essentially. So state activation, which comes from the Department of Homeland Security or the Department of Health. At the local level, which could be requests from public safety, government officials, or law enforcement. And then there's also an option for community support request, which could come from a nonprofit, a business, a school potentially. And those community support requests can be a little bit unique. We've seen that REST sometimes gets requests for stuff that doesn't really fall into another category neatly. So we really leave those determinations up to the local leadership team if REST is the appropriate resource and if that is the best path forward. If not, those can always be referred to another group or maybe another organization that might better meet the need. All members of REST are requested to complete a series of trainings. So psychological first aid is the model that disaster behavioral health uses. We also require all folks to complete skills for psychological recovery, a few national incident management system trainings. So those are the emergency management focused trainings, and then some version of suicide prevention training. So we typically suggest QPR for individuals who don't have a mental health background, but most of the individuals working with us from the community mental health center side already have some kind of suicide prevention training, and that meets the intent. While not required, we also really value individuals who have additional crisis intervention training. Many people who participate in REST also have critical incident stress management training, or perhaps have completed the National Organization for Victim Advocacy Training, NOVA, Victims Assistance Training. So either one of those are just examples of additional training that's helpful, but not required. So where is REST now? So since 2022, we've been working on revitalizing and redeveloping the program. And I'm so encouraged by the progress that's been made, in large part to your guys' support and commitment to this. So we have leadership teams established in all 10 districts. Training for the leadership teams are in progress, and folks are on track to complete that by the goal date of 12/31. So coming up on that quickly. And we have disaster behavioral health plans for each district submitted, and they are in final review. So those plans are just a really simple, they're typically like 2-3 pages document that just outlines at the district level, this is how we're going to run the team, and this is what we're going to do if we receive an activation request. So the goal of that is really just so that everybody who's a part of the team, because this is a multi-organizational team, has one sheet of music that we're playing from, and that they all understand what the expectations are. Looking to the future, what's next for REST? Our 3 main focuses for the next few months are going to be continuing to support networking in the district. I know that a lot of you have established and have long and ongoing relationships with law enforcement and public safety, but continuing to help grow those relationships and make sure that it's understood in the context of a disaster response support, so that REST is available locally, and what that would look like. Start looking at community member engagement. So who would be the right people to start engaging on perhaps participating in the team, completing the training, and being available. And then resource building. So we have a small inventory of things that are available to either be requested or distributed to the REST team. So available for requests from DMHA, we have tents, pop-up tents, tables, chairs, and some additional things in the event of a more catastrophic natural disaster. For distribution or requests, depending on different locations, space, if they have space to hold it or not. Otherwise, we can keep it. Our rest kits, and those are things that can be used for a more standard activations, like going to a one-stop shop or maybe a community support event. Those are things like extension cords, notebooks, pens, Lysol wipes, just kind of stuff that you might need to help the event go better. We provide all of those for you guys. And then sensory kits. So we have one sensory kit per team. Those include weighted animals, coloring activities, sensory discs, sensory stones, things like that can be used. And then we're working on getting a series of informational materials printed. So that would be like the psychological first aid handbook, some different disaster recovery specific activities for children, some guidelines from SAMHSA, like their rural disaster behavioral health book, etc. When I send out the slide, you guys will see that we have 2 QR codes that are available for you all. One, to provide feedback if you have any ideas, any thoughts. If you are like, well, this is really going the wrong direction, I have something I need to share about that. We want to hear that. We also have a QR code to request a meeting. So if you want to speak further with either me or your disaster behavioral health regional coordinator for your area, you can request a meeting through that. And then also our contact information will be included. So for counties north, more or less north, Erica Smith is your disaster behavioral health regional coordinator. And for the southern part of the state, it is Dalton Baker. And then my contact information will be on there, along with our newly published website. So if you have a chance, check out our website. Just went live a couple weeks ago. We're very excited about that. Yeah, and that is all I have for you. Thank you so much for your time and attention, and I'm available for any questions.
Yeah, that's perfect, Esther. So we still have about 10 minutes for questions. And so any questions for Esther or her team? I know some have shared some concerns regarding the staffing and the setup of these groups and the flexibility that's needed. I don't know if anyone else kind of, is having some of those thoughts, but here, just wanted to make sure we use this forum to be able to solve some of those things and talk those through.
Sure.
Good morning. This is Art Fuller from Hamilton Center. You had talked a little bit about how you were networking in the district with like local law enforcement. Could you maybe share a little bit more details on the different types of things that you're doing?
Yeah, all right, let me clarify. I was more speaking to supporting or identifying or helping ways that you guys are networking with law enforcement. So my team won't be reaching out to or establishing any direct relationships with law enforcement, but we don't also want to assume that those relationships aren't already established. So this is more of a focus in the new year is going to be helping to identify those relationships and make sure that public safety in the local at the local level know that this is a resource, but we don't want to do that independently of you all. So it's going to be a conversation with the districts first, and then it's going to be that leadership team will lead how that should look.
Okay, thank you.
Of course.
And Esther, could you highlight again who can request a deployment?
Yeah, so typically it's going to be either Department of Homeland Security, Department of Health, or a local public safety or government entity. There is an avenue for, and we do get community support requests, but that's where that's a little bit of a different situation because it is not an official, it's not an official activation. So that would really be up to the district's discretion whether it's the appropriate, if rest is the appropriate response and if they have capacity for that.
Okay. And that request goes to the CEO of the CMHC and the point of contact you have for REST? Or I guess my concern with our large organizations and the involvement, like how does that connection get made?
Yeah. So typically, if the request were to come to me, for example, then that would be disseminated to the REST leadership team as a whole. If it was for one specific county, then it would go to the point of contact for the designated CMHC of that county. So if it's for an area, then it would probably go to the leadership team as a whole. If it was for a specific county, it would go to that point of contact. The internal communication for how that's handled on the CMHC side is however that organization would like to handle it. But our REST would communicate with the point of contact that's been identified.
Great, that's very helpful. And then remind me, I think when we met, but I'm just trying to recall, for this work of being part of REST, is there compensation for the CMHCs to do that?
So the Exhibit 5 of the Community Mental Health Center contract outlines the requirements that come as a part of being a CMHC. So a majority of any time that's spent on this is covered under those requirements or is in fulfilling those requirements. If there is an extended, if we receive a presidential disaster declaration, then there is additional compensation. Outside of that, typically we're looking at each CMHC providing limited staffing. Usually, Department of Homeland Security only does their one-stop shops, which is the standard model for about 1 week, 2 week. And those shifts are shared among all of the community mental health centers within the district. And if there is a staffing concern with that, then we open that up to see if anybody else is available to help out. So we look at this as this is a shared opportunity, something that we can all support in. And typically, we're looking at those activations are about once to twice a year. So thankfully, our state is at a point where we're not experiencing those major activations more frequently.
Right. Okay, that's very helpful. And then just like worst case scenario, I'm trying to think like, what if, our CMHCs at that time didn't have the capacity, right? Like I'm thinking through, some of our demo sites and the focus, they might all be out on a mobile response, or like, what does that look like if they don't have the capacity?
So again, that's why this is led by a group effort at the district level. So no burden is on one specific community mental health center. This is a team-led event at the district level, and it is why we have multiple community mental health centers make up a REST team, because we can't predict when this is going to happen or what circumstances are going to be going on with an organization at that time. It's also why we're really excited about what is coming in 2025 and our hope for expanding membership to other community members and organizations. That's a fantastic way to have volunteers who are available to help with maybe that one-stop shop staffing, or if there's door-to-door outreach requested, etc. Those are ways that they might be available. Doesn't even have to require a community mental health center staff member to be actively involved. So we're really excited about the possibilities for 2025 and looking at more community engagement.
Great. Any other questions from the membership?
So yeah, I just have just a quick response. Esther, thanks so much for coming on and sharing this information with the CMHCs. And I really appreciate the time you've taken with me and with LifeSpring and talking through some of these issues. I just have to say again, and I have told you this also, I have a lot of concern with just sitting back and saying, hey, this is part of your contract. And I know I'm paraphrasing that this is part of your contract and this is part of being a CMHC, when our CMHCs are already significantly underfunded and understaffed and overworked and exhausted. And this really is not, my comment is not a difference in philosophy. I do think that this is part of our responsibility in community mental health and as public health workers. And I think most of us have done this formally and informally in our communities. I just have to, again, state these deployments often are brief, but sometimes they're not. And when you take staff offline, you're not just missing out on the billable revenue, you're also missing patients getting the clinical care that they need in an ongoing fashion. So I just wanted to say that again, but I really do appreciate you being here and talking through this.
Thank you for your comment, Beth.
Yeah, and just to chime in really quick, yeah, thanks all. I'm just listening. Thank you, Esther, for this and the support you're doing. And Beth, definitely have heard that. And you guys can continue to funnel those more advocacy things through me. I know Esther and her teams are actively trying to broaden this approach and engage communities. So I just wanted to make sure, Esther, if there are concerns, feel free to just funnel them up to me as Esther and her teams are working at that community level to get that response, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Lindsay, for being on as well. I don't see you, but I hear you. So again, the voice of Lindsay in my head. So any other questions for the state? We also, Lindsay is on, and Esther, regarding the REST teams, anything that would be beneficial?
I think,
Well,
hi, Esther,
yeah.
this is Dottie Fuentes from the Northeastern Center. And Parkview and Bowman Center would both be in our district. And I see Laura's on the call and I saw Shannon on. I don't know that, I did not understand that we were supposed to be doing this regional thing. So our risk management team is in the middle of training like our own REST team within Northeastern Center to make sure that we're in compliance with Exhibit 5 that you mentioned. is our regional person supposed to be the one that's going to get Parkview, like identify the leader from Parkview, identify the leader from Bowen Center, identify the leader from Northeastern Center to put that together? Should I stop our training that we're currently doing? Because there's a lot of hours that we're putting into our rest team within Northeastern Center to make sure that we're in compliance with what is a requirement as part of our DMHA contract.
Sure. Yeah. So the staffing rule of thumb that we've given to the community mental health centers is 5 people or 10% of your staff, whichever is less. That's what we're asking, and that's organization wide. So that's not by county, that's for your total organization. So the max number of people that we're asking you to train is 5 people.
For each community mental health center. So Parkview and Bowen Center and Northeastern Center are going to train 15 people.
So each organization would train a max of 5 people. So collectively in the district, you could have up to 15, 20 people trained, but your individual organization would not be requested to have more than 5 people complete the training. Does that make sense?
Okay. Where would I get that information?
So that is, and I apologize if there's been confusion about this. We've been very clear, and it's been in writing in the slides. This is a guideline. This is not something, this is based on the CCBHC criteria. So we've told folks, this is a guideline that we're saying this is a good rule of thumb. If you come back and say, hey, we can do 2 people, or we can do 1 person. Okay, got it. But that is the direction that we're heading. So we wanted to give people a heads up. That's probably where things are going based on the CCBHC criteria, but it's not like a hard stop. This has to be done right now. What's in the contract right now is that you have 2 points of contact identified. So, we have a point of contact for Northeastern that's identified. So the training of staff is one of those things that we've said, this is a guideline. This is not something that you have to be like 5 people trained right now, or that's a problem. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, that's, I think, very helpful, Esther. Thank you for providing that.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions? I know we're just a little past time, but since we have Esther, and I know all of you are processing this and operationalizing, and I see your wheels all turning on the Zoom box. So I don't want to cut us short. Any other questions that would be helpful?
Hi, Zoe. It's Tasha from Hamilton Center.
Hi, Tasha.
Hi, how are you? I do have a question. Esther, is there a list of, you mentioned that you had a contact for Northeastern. Is there a list of contacts per center that you have that this group could possibly have, so we can ensure that you have, each agency and each CMHC is identified and represented on your list?
For sure. Yeah. I could, for Hamilton Center, I think you guys are represented in District 5 and District 7. So I could reach out with those individually. We haven't gotten permission to share everybody's contact information with the whole group. So, but I can let you know about who's identified for Hamilton Center until I verify that I can send out all of that contact information.
I guess once you do get permission, I do think that would be helpful system-wide to be able to share who, like what Dottie just said, there's like 3 that overlap, to know that. As you know, we are a system, and so we like to be able to help and support each other and be able to meet the needs of our communities collectively. So that would, at that time, I think, be really beneficial for everyone to know kind of those key points of contact when you can. Okay, well, great. Regional's given me a thumbs up on that one. So great conversation. Did want to remind everyone, again, February 10th is our next in-person Pack the State House Day. So please get yourselves signed up for that. And as we're heading into this new year, if you are thinking, this conversation made me kind of think of this again. If you are thinking of any members that are not CMHC, but are affiliate members that support the work that all of you do, that should be connected to the council, this is a perfect example of getting them plugged in to be able to help in building that local community support. Please send those to Leanne Jordan. And then also at the beginning of the year, January 1st, don't forget to make your PAC donation to come to our PAC fundraiser. So we have a winner for the Starbucks gift card, and that is Tammy Briggle from Northeastern. So we will send that gift card to you. Since this is our last session, Cup of Joe, before we head into session and head into the holiday season, the Indiana Council wishes all of you a wonderful holiday. And please do not hesitate to reach out as we're gearing up for budget session. If there's anything we can do, Sydney's on, as well as Leanne and myself, we can offer that support to all of you. But connect with your legislators. That is the gift you can give everyone. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, Esther and DMHA, for being on, and have a phenomenal day. Thank you.